We have Kevin. Good morning. We have Kevin Cormier, Randy Rush,
Yep.
Jackie White, Robin Ivy, and myself, Lisa Bloom here. And we can start with the approval of the minutes. If everyone had a chance to look through those.
Yeah, I will move to approve the minutes of September 23rd, 2025.
I'll second.
And Randy,
Yes.
Jackie,
Yes.
and I say yes. Robin, is there anyone here from the public for public communications?
Let me see. Nope, nothing.
Thank you. And so we'll go ahead and we shall start with, this is the 5-year review cycle. So we'll start with policy JAFBD, which is the homeless students enrollment rights and services. Just have to, all right, just do, all right. And Randy just made, I think it was just one change on here.
Yep. I just put in for the North Middlesex Regional School District because it didn't have that in there.
And I think I made a change on the bottom of replacing, revising the MASC source revised to 2021. And if there are any more comments on here.
No, this one was pretty straightforward. I haven't seen these change much in the years. Minor stuff that they change sometimes. But your homeless students and a lot of the other ones are pretty standard that they want to, homeless students have every right to, like everybody everybody else, to have a quality education, preferably in their home district, and if not, then where they are staying. And there's just all of the statutes from the law in here. So I don't see any issues with this one.
And Jeremy or Kevin, do you have any comments on this?
No, pretty straightforward.
All right.
None from me either.
Okay, thank you. And would anyone like to make a motion?
I will make a motion to, now I feel like I'm out of practice. We're putting this forward for review, right? With the
For
full
first
committee?
reading, it's
Yeah.
called.
Okay, so I will make a motion to put policy JFABD forward for a first reading by the full school committee.
Randy?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, I second, rather.
You
Sorry.
second, right?
I'm writing my notes and I'm like,
It's too early, right? And Jackie
Yes.
and Randy,
yes.
and I say yes. Okay, and so we will move along to policy JFABE. It's educational opportunities for military children. Let's see, which is in here.
Yeah, this one had a lot of language changes, not in content. Most of the changes I found in here were they just updated language to make it sound better, I guess. So instead of saying in an effort in the beginning, they started off with to facilitate the placement. They under children of military families, The special education was put elsewhere, so they just took it out of that paragraph there. And again, the requirements applicable to eligible students, and it just started off with eligible students. The responsibilities to the district's responsibilities, they again reworded things. So instead of saying simultaneously, the receiving school must request official records and the sending school shall respond within 10 days, it says upon enrollment of an eligible student, the receiving school must request official records and the sending school shall respond within 10 days of the records. So I saw the changes in this one really just more housekeeping and I guess maybe cleaning up some language to make it a little bit more a little bit nicer, a little bit easier to understand, or just sound a little bit better.
Anyone else?
So please look through and make sure that I didn't miss any of that. It looks like oh, Lisa, you added in an extra one that I missed.
Yeah, I added in the North Middlesex Regional School District.
Right, the last bullet, as I'm looking here, I think that was from you. That the high school will accept exit or end of year exams. So, I guess that would be a change. Or that was just the North Middlesex you added in there? Got it. I'm writing it
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Okay,
and yeah.
Yep.
And I think because I added it into your change, it kept going up to different things in my thing.
that's fine.
So
Yep. So yeah, so
Yeah,
read
and
through, make sure that, it is just language. But I didn't see anything wrong with this, and no big changes. With that, I would say that we just go ahead and accept all of the suggestions here.
I agree. I also changes that the MASC updated in 2021. So
Thank you.
Are we ready for a motion? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll make a motion to put forward policy JFABE to the full committee for a first read.
I will second.
And Jackie,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and I say yes. Okay. So we will move forward to policy JFABF. It's educational opportunities for children in foster care. After this, pull down here. Find it. The other two are up there, right here. We go right here. Let's see. There were just Randy made a change. I think that
Yeah, this one, there was such a big paragraph. I didn't want everyone to try and read it crossed out. So MASC did do some more extensive changes with this on how they stated things. In the black, those first two paragraphs of what we had in our old policy, the next three paragraphs should replace those first two according to MASC.
and I made a change where it says district of origin to North Middlesex Regional District.
Yeah. So I'm not sure which paragraph everyone likes. I don't think there's big substance changes between those two paragraphs. I think the second one does sound better. I think MASC definitely succeeded in cleaning this up and making it sound a little bit more legible and understandable.
I agree.
Yeah, if that's the case, then consistency with them seems good.
All right, so I'll just go ahead and delete the first paragraph.
Yep.
And we'll go with that. Okay. And again, this next change here, I think it was just one instead of saying under the law to promote educational stability, they'll stay here. They put in to the extent feasible and appropriate, the district will ensure that a child remains in their school of origin while disputes are being resolved. So there is a little bit of substance there, but it again, essentially the same thing that it's saying. Do we agree with the new language?
Yeah.
I do.
And
Do
it's
we
just
have
been-
reports that show, like that we have access to, that show how many students in district are either homeless or foster care kiddos?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'd have to find out whether that is, private information or not.
Yep.
Robin, do you know? I mean, I'm sure the district keeps track of that. We can go ahead and ask, Brad whether that is something that the school committee can see or if it's something, that's, private.
Jeremy Hammond's on the call. He may be able to answer. I know he
Okay.
handles reporting.
So
Okay.
we certainly do track it. We don't have a preset report for it. Along with low income, it is a highly protected piece of data. Whether or not it can be shared with the school committee, I would have to defer probably to, I mean, certainly Brad, but I would probably go through Erin first because she is in charge of the McKinney-Vento homeless piece, so she would know the laws around it much better than I do in terms of what and who it can be shared with.
Okay.
Just in case it comes up momentarily, same applies to foster records.
Mhm.
Okay. We can try and get that answer, Jackie.
I just think it would be helpful to know, like, how what the population is that we're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And again, we're looking here, there was a lot of changes. They had more information here than what we had. But again, some of the things that got deleted from theirs, moved around a little bit, reworded. That first paragraph is what's reworded from what's deleted. And then they added in the last paragraph is new. And what this is basically just saying that for the foster kids, they kind of have a special pass on having to have everything up front before they get admitted into the school. So if a foster child comes in and needs to be admitted to the school, they get admitted, and then we can work backwards to make sure they have their immunizations, make sure that they have all of their documentation as best we can possibly find for them. But the students' in-school education comes before that, anything in the district that we require.
Looks good.
I really like that language. Okay.
And then I just added the source from MASC.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't on the policy.
Then I guess I'll move that we move forward JFABF for a first reading to the school committee.
I'll second.
And Randy
Yes.
and Jackie.
Yes.
I say yes also. Okay, we'll move along to policy JFBB, and JFBB1 goes along with it, school choice. So Brad did make a note on this that he believes under school choice that we can end the school choice once a student has completed 8th grade. He did say he will double check on this, but he feels that he's been told previously by John Foskett that we can ask students to reapply for the high school. So I'm not sure because school choice, the first one is if we don't go with school choice, I think that's correct, Randy?
No, the first
And
one is if we
then-
do school choice. The -1 is if we don't.
Okay, all right.
It just
thank
has
you.
language, but we have to, if we don't currently do it, then we need to vote on it every year, it says.
Right, okay. So if we add that in there, that they can do the high school, right? Wouldn't we have to change this?
It would need changing, but I'd probably want to put this one off and ask Brad why we would want to end school choice in 8th grade.
Mhm.
It seems to me we have a low enough or declining enrollment in our high school. And basically telling students that, you have to reapply in high school and potentially losing some of them doesn't seem to me like a policy we'd want to go, because the less students are in the high school, the less opportunities for all of the kids. Because as the students go down, we have less opportunities to have specialists, less opportunities to have some extracurricular activities and things like that. If we're going to take on school choice, I would think that we'd want to continue that into the high school, and especially the high school, and encourage more to come to our high school.
I agree with all that, and like just thinking about families too, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine it would be very stressful if you have kids in high school and younger to think that perhaps your high schooler wouldn't be matching where your other kids are. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right. As far as between the JFBB and the -1, obviously we've been voting each year right now that we don't have school choice. So I think the -1 would be more appropriate to work off of until the day that we decide that we're going to start doing school choice on a regular basis again. But the same thing still applies. So I would say that we should probably pass this over to the next meeting with questions for Brad. MASC does have a difference. If you take a look at the BB at the very bottom, I pasted in what they have. They've reworded a lot of it. I think most of it just is our old one called out like annual space assessment for number 1. And then talks about by May 1st. It kind of seems to take out all of those titles from each one of the bullet points. And they obviously have less bullet points. They have 5. Which ones? Random drawing. I forget which ones that they had taken out.
Randy, may I interject? Because I think I have the answer to what you're looking for.
Go right ahead.
So the main things that don't exist in the MASC version that I can see are the allowances for sibling preference, which on our current one is items 3 and 4.
Great, thank you.
which personally I would recommend we leave in place because it just feels like a kindness.
Mhm.
I agree.
Five is also sibling related. That's the other one it doesn't have.
Okay. Yeah, the tie breaking for sibling preference. Okay. Yeah, I agree with Jeremy. It's
Yeah.
been, if we go back to school choice and taking students in again, I think those are important to have in the policy, even if we just transfer those over to the -1, so that it's a reminder of what we used to do. Because as you know, we have a fairly young school committee now, and if it's another 5 or 6 years before we actually go back to school choice, we feel like we're in a good position for that. It's possible we're going to have nobody who remembers having school choice. So I think having those 3 bullets in the -1 is important for historical reasons um, and basically just reminding whoever's on the committee that that's what we used to do.
If I may make one further recommendation for the committee's consideration. During COVID, if I remember correctly, we implemented an exception that allowed for the children of staff members to be accepted under school choice with a preference. At the time, it was largely to try to encourage staff members to not be switching to homeschooling and not be available as staff in the district. Similarly, where I think state and to some degree countrywide staffing issues are growing. I think it might be worth considering making the students of staff members a preference so that as an incentive to try to encourage teachers to come out our way, since we're a little bit further from the highway, and just make it a option for those that are parents and the travel might otherwise be a problem. Just my 2 cents.
I think that's a very well thought out suggestion. I like that.
Yeah, I do remember having this conversation about the staff members' children. So I don't it was in one of the policies last year. I don't know if you remember if it had to do with this, Randy.
Yeah, I think what Jeremy was saying is I think those were just some exceptions that we put into place, that we voted on that we would be able to do. I don't think we put them specifically into a policy.
Okay.
I can certainly search around and see, but I think it was just one of those, like, you know, in the moment, in the emergency, trying to get everybody in the district, we voted a few things and didn't change the policy.
So am I reading this right too, that we originally adopted the no school choice policy in 2020? Before that, we did allow school choice?
No, our current policy is the JFBB, which allows and says that we will participate in school choice. For many years, there were times when we had no slots available, when we didn't feel we could. And then I believe it was just a couple of years ago, we had voted not to participate until we were ready to, felt that we had capacity for that.
So participating being different than
Zero
adopting the
slots,
policy.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So I'm just setting up JFBB-1 with some of those. I will make a note that we want to add in in students of staff
Children as staff.
preference for school choice. So we had that when we come back to this. I'm gonna say, Jeremy, do you remember? I'm thinking more on this. Did we just put it into the staff handbook that staff were allowed to bring their students, or their students would be allowed to come into the district? I'm not sure if we actually allowed them under the school choice policy.
I can remember talking about it, like,
Yeah, but I think it was just something that as a privilege for teachers in the district or staff in the district, that is something we were allowing if there was room in the class.
I don't recall specifically. I agree with you. My memory is that we did not make a policy change per se,
Yeah.
so much as it was a vote as a temporary adjustment to try to help retain staff that might otherwise switch to homeschooling their own kids or
Okay.
something along those lines. Might be in the staff handbook. I could take a look through it later,
Okay.
although it's probably not in the current version because it was a temporary change only. I do know that we frequently have a limited list of applicants for a lot of teaching positions right now. And I'm sure being far from the highway doesn't help us, but it's definitely the current times. Everyone is reporting shorter applicant lists. So I think anything we can do that can create a small incentive for some is worthwhile, or at least eliminate a detraction if their kids are, a couple towns away or something otherwise.
Okay. I would absolutely agree. All right, so I can do some research in our meetings to see where we voted that in, whether it was a policy meeting, a full committee meeting, and see if I can't find anything. And then we
If
can
it
kind of.
helps you, I remember there was a discussion at a full committee meeting because we
Okay.
were in the LGI at the time.
Okay.
It probably would have been fairly early into
Yeah.
COVID,
spring.
planning for the hybrid at the time.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you, Jeremy. I'll try and bring that information to our next meeting.
okay.
So I will
Okay, so
move that we table this till the next meeting.
I'll second.
and Randy
Yes.
and Jackie,
Yes.
and I say yes. And so then we will move along to policy JFBC, out-of-state student.
Yeah, this is MASC does not have this one. Lisa's correct with her comments on here. And that is because it's really only a few districts actually deal with this along the border of New Hampshire. I'm not sure if anyone deals with it on the border with Connecticut. But generally it's just the border towns that have any, a need for an out-of-state students policy. This obviously was one of the original ones that has no date on when we adopted it, which means it was probably somewhere in the realm of 2011 to 2014 that we had created this one. It was probably from our old policy book, the nice big red book that nobody knows but me. I should bring it in. I wish mine was in better shape. I can just
totally
put
bring
in
that in.
history.
Yes. Archive.
That's when everything was on paper. And any changes that we made like this was just a monumental task because every red book out there had to have the papers switched out.
Gosh, I bet.
Did anyone here know if this is what we still do?
So I can speak to this as well. end up being involved in a lot of the registration pieces as well as the data. We can't actually really report a student from out of state. This probably, if we leave it in place, would require further clarification that it's a tuition situation because the state of Massachusetts doesn't technically allow for it with funding coming from taxes. We have had a couple of situations where there have been questions around residency, and I know that the question of tuition, an option for them to tuition in has come up, but the expense ends up being fairly considerable, so it's not something people opt for.
I
But we
believe,
may need something in place to make it clear that that is a thing. The only cases that we currently have that I'm aware of that do not technically live in state are ones that are in that kind of refer back to our previous conversations, either homeless or foster or, well, not really foster, either homeless or DCF connected, where there's a custody situation that's still in flux. And we do allow for, in those situations where it's in flux, we report them based on their associated town of residence, even their housing situation might be a little bit back and forth from day to day. But those are technically the only ones that are out of state at the moment. I would personally recommend tabling it for legal consult to see what we
Okay.
are and are not allowed to put in for this, since it's kind of outside of state regulations.
yeah, because I know in the past we've had students from Mason tuition into the district. Like you said, it's per the DESE on what we have per pupil expenditures is what we charge for the tuition. It definitely is far and few between, but I know we definitely had Mason. As a matter of fact, at one point in time, Mason was trying to inquire whether they can join our district. And that was a whole other legal thing with the DESE on whether a out-of-state town can join our district without being tuition in, and how that would work. Obviously, that did not go through. I don't remember all of the legal stumbling blocks, but obviously funding probably was a big one. But yeah, we can certainly go ahead and refer this one to legal, make sure that it still applies. I think we definitely need it. In case, students want to come in from out of town. If we can get the tuition and people want to pay that, and we have the room, because it does refer back to our, school choice lottery program for them to get in and tuition. And we can, even see if that's something we want to, take out of this, and just if somebody wants a tuition in, we have them tuition in. But I'm not sure how many requests we really get for that amount of money.
I want to say based on the per pupil, which I do not have in front of me, last I looked at it, it was over 10,000. So it's typically a big deterrent. That's part of the issue with school choice as well, because the cost of educating a student is not what we get per student for school choice.
Right. Okay.
I will make a motion to put policy JF BC forward for review by legal counsel.
I will second.
And Jackie
Yes.
and Randy,
Yes.
and I say yes. So then we will move to policy JHD, which is exclusions and exemptions from school attendance. And Brad did mention that he wanted to hold off on this policy. Let me just find his note here. he wants to make sure that it aligns with both the proposed new residency policy as well as the school admissions policy.
I can agree with that. We do want to make sure that we're not having policies counteract each other. So I'll move to table JHD.
I'll second.
And Randy
Yes.
and Jackie,
Yes.
and I say yes. Okay, so we can move along to policy JI, student rights and responsibilities. Um, This one, I just made a policy change to add the North Middlesex Regional District in there. And then I added changed the source of the date on the source of the MASC. So it's pretty much stay the same and straightforward.
I'm sorry, which policy is this?
JI,
JI. Okay. Can I see the other change you made is students becomes families? At least the one that I'm looking at.
that's not
Yes.
coming up here.
I can see too that you've been working in Lisa, so I'm a little just confused.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Because Brad actually made that. So why isn't that coming up on my thing? Let me just look at Brad. Yeah, Brad suggested after number 5, I suggest replacing students in both paragraphs with families on this, but I don't know why it's not coming up in my thing here. Oh.
Okay.
You know what? There's 2 JIs in
Yep.
the, that's
Yep.
what it is under the review thing. Let me go into this other one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why.
yeah, give me a second. I'm just trying to, I don't know. We should just only be working on the policies under review, so, but I'm not seeing it. Hold on.
Both of them, yeah, there's 2 of them though. I just
There's
saw.
2 of them in here. I don't know. I've never seen that, so.
So, and it looks like the second one that I changed to families already has the North Middlesex Regional School Committee that I made the change for the other one. That's, yeah.
Okay. I guess I'm a
So
little
we should,
confused by Brad's suggestion of changing students to families. Um,
Did he make these suggestions within
yeah,
the?
he sent me he sent an email,
Oh, all right.
Robin, just because I knew he couldn't be here,
Yeah.
so I sent it out to Brad and to Gary
know.
saying they can review and ask us to pass over anything if they think it needs a lot of work. If they had any suggestions on anything that they should feel free to pass it along, that we can discuss.
I know, and as I was making the changes, I was like, well, if this is for students' rights and responsibilities, I don't know if
And I guess I understand making the families aware of what their students' rights and responsibilities are. I'm just not sure if this is, if that's the purpose of this.
the policy, right? Yeah, yeah. Or maybe putting families and students.
It might be a question to throw to legal to ask them, is there any issues with changing it to families? With what the intent of the policy is. because I was reading this one originally, just this is literally, it's in the student section of our policy book. And so it is letting the students know what their rights are.
Right.
I can see families should know what their students' rights are as well. But I'm just not sure if this is the right place.
Mm,
Are you okay if I remove one of these, so we're only working off of one to,
yeah. Can you remove the one that doesn't have the change in the families? The one that I put the change of North Middlesex Regional School District, because that one is already changed in the first and the other one. So,
Okay.
yeah, awesome. Thank you, Robin.
okay.
Okay.
Where did I go with that? That goes there. Yeah, so maybe we should bring this back to Brad or back to legal and
Yeah, just to make sure that we're not changing the intent of what the policy is for. All of the rights, I agree with the other language. I just don't want to change to families and then be in violation. I have not read up on the MGL that's referenced in here. So I would need to take a look at that. I apologize for not doing that in advance.
okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to table this?
Well, actually, I will make
First
a
read.
motion to refer this to legal for
Okay.
changing students to families, whether that's allowable.
Okay,
Second,
and Randy
Yes.
and Jackie,
yes.
I say yes as well.
Lisa, before you move
Okay.
on, I hope this doesn't throw a kink into things, but I have to step off for a work meeting. Does that still allow you to continue without having a third person here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Quorum is 2.
All right. Perfect. I should have said this at the top of the hour, but I forgot. So, I'll see everybody tonight.
Okay.
Okay, thank
Bye.
you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, so we will move on to policy JIC, which is students' discipline.
Yeah.
I think this was a pretty long policy.
And this one we also just recently approved, and we had gotten it through our legal in September of 24, whereas MASC had reviewed it in 23. So I'm feeling
Yeah.
fairly confident that this still applies. The note I would say needs to come off because those generally are not supposed to be part of the policy. Those are just kind of giving everyone on the MASC version that kind of just gives the districts an idea of what it is and things that needs to tie to or anything like that. So it suggests that we take the note off, but other than that, it should be fine if legal just approved it. And I don't see any changes other than taking the note off.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So with that change for removing the note, I guess we still need to bring it for a first reading. So I would recommend or move that we put this forward to the full committee for a first reading.
Isaaca? Randy?
Yes.
And I say yes. We will move on to policy JICC,
Thank you, Robin.
which is student contact on school buses.
Yeah, this is interesting because EEAEC, I added that in because this should be the same. And all these vowels, they do start to sound alike. But I swear at some point we had EEAEC. And we don't. But this should bring up that we should create that because this is the same, it should be the same under E, which is student services, and under students for this. Um, and again, being that MASC has not changed this much, because we don't have a date on ours, which means it was probably pre-2015 that we approved this.
Yeah,
So it wasn't on the agenda, but I think it comes out of this and we're not discussing anything new. I would say we probably, if we're going to put this forward, put forward both policies, create an EEAC. Pretty much the file name becomes EEAEC and in parentheses, also JICC. And then it should be the exact same thing. We have a couple of policies that do that. Anybody have any objections to having this? It's pretty transparent. Do we know if the student conduct on buses does rest with the principals these days, or did that policy change within the district? That's the only thing that I would question in here and make sure that the principals are still the primary authority for enforcing that.
The principals is where I would start if I
Yeah.
heard of something, but I couldn't say for certain without checking in with Brad or Gary or the principals themselves.
Yeah. If we put this in for a first reading, we can always change that if it needs to be changed. Something that's small. So I would go ahead and we'll remove that note like we did in the last one, and then I will move that we bring JICC and a duplicate policy of EEAEC for first reading to the full school committee. Yeah, Lisa, everyone's on mute.
all
There you go. Okay.
right, Randy,
Yes.
and I say yes. How did I get on mute? That's weird. And, okay, so that is the end of our policies for today. So, we have a few minutes left just to add to our days, and I thank you all for being here and, see a few of us tonight in our meeting.
Okay. Well, I will move to adjourn.
And I second. And Randy,
Yes.
and I say yes. Okay, everyone enjoy their day.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin.